Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by the Believe Sports Network. My name is Joe Miller, and you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, alongside my two co-hosts, former Buffalo Bills offensive lineman John Fina and Jerry Ostrowski. You can find them on Twitter at John Fina and at Ostrowski_Big O, respectively. We are excited that you are here with us. Please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this vidcast or podcast on. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend, repost it, retweet it, put it on Facebook, all that good stuff. It is so good to have every single one of you guys joining us. Welcome to everybody joining us live in the comments section on YouTube right now. Welcome to Richard Rush and Maggie and Spin and Tracy and Scott Blakely. Daniel Gowris is in the room. Jerry Ostrowski is in the room, and so is John Fina, but it's good to have every single one of you guys. Buffalo Bills mandatory minicamp starts this Monday and goes through Wednesday. Fellas, the Bills' biggest story coming out of this week is a report from Adam Schefter that James Cook should not be expected at Buffalo Bills minicamp. We will start there, and then we'll get into all of the details around this and what the Mafia and James Cook should expect. Thoughts, fellas?
Well, first of all, I want to say this. The thumbnail to the show was your best work you've ever done, Joe. Because the comment, where else would he rather be, is so appropriate. And I think this is what I'm starting to feel out of this situation anyway. Whether he's there tomorrow or not, obviously, we'll get into the particulars about training camp and why he will be at training camp, because there's some pretty strong things that he needs to really look at before he decides to cut training camp.
Yep.
But honestly, to me anyway, it's starting to look like he would probably rather be somewhere else than here.
Exactly.
Because this isn't a situation where they're in contract negotiations. He's got a contract. He's got his money. They're not going to redo it before the start of the season. He knows that. Everybody else knows that. History shows that. So to me anyway, it would seem that maybe this will be his swan song in Buffalo, not because the franchise doesn't want him. It seems to me anyway that he does not want to be here.
John?
Well, I think James Cook's
He cracks beer.
James Cook's agent thinks that he's dealing with Buttermaker from the Bad News Bears as the GM from Buffalo. I mean, it's silly right now, the posturing. To Jerry's point, we're so far along in the offseason right now that he's erasing any goodwill, and he's leveraging himself when there's no leverage.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see the upside play here, even vis-a-vis with how any other team regards him during this, whatever you want to call, negotiation. He's not behaving like it's a negotiation. He's trying to behave like he's the one holding the gun and the hostages are in front of him. But what he doesn't understand is he's the hostage. And that he just needs to realize I have no leverage, go up, come to minicamp, put a smile on your face, and play out the year. Why go through the rigmarole of saying, I'm gonna amass all of these fines for not showing up, and then try to play nice guy and then take the deal that they were going to give me anyway so I get my fines erased? Bah, Nabla, he's out of his mind.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Maggie says, I think he's trying to do what his brother did. Dalvin Cook, his brother who played with Minnesota, he's looking for a big paycheck. And he's right. It didn't go well for his big brother, Dalvin. It doesn't tend to go well for a lot of players, a lot of running backs specifically. You see situations where guys are good in their first 3 to 5 years as rookies, want that big payday, force themselves either out of a situation or want so much money that the drafting team doesn't want to pay them the amount of money that they want. They can't come to an arrangement or an agreement. They go to another team. Every position it happens. And once in a while, a guy will just sort of vanish because it was a system thing for him. It happens, it seems like, more often than not with running backs. Like, running backs is the place Saquon Barkley aside, that it seems like a running back is really, really. I mean, look at Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell's career ended when he left Pittsburgh. Dalvin Cook's career pretty much ended when he left the Vikings. It just seems to happen more to running backs than almost anybody else. And you got to wonder who's in his corner talking to him. Why isn't somebody like whether it's his manager, his brother, which we've heard his brother's like tweet already, just like go get 15 or whatever the number was, 20 million or 15 million. His parents, somebody be like, you're in a really good situation.
Right. I mean, you would have to think that he's seen history already. He watched his brother go through this situation. It didn't work out well for him. Why will it work out, well for James? But, I'd feel much better doing this show probably around 1 o'clock tomorrow or 2 o'clock. Cause that way, when he shows up for minicamp tomorrow, we look like a bunch of jabronis talking about this the way we are. But obviously we're kind of going off the report that Adam Schefter put out that said he will not be there. And there's a strong chance he won't be at camp either. But, it's negotiations, and you guys are in sales and in business. You understand this as much as anybody, right? Negotiations are a two-way street. You got to give a little to get a little. It's just how it goes.
That's right.
And especially when you have a contract and you're trying to get a vendor or somebody to tear that contract up and redo it, right? I mean, that's a lot of donuts. That's a lot of lunches. That's a lot of wine at dinner to get that done. And this is the complete opposite of what it is. Doing there.
It's exactly the opposite.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's he's on the wrong side of the tariff negotiations. Okay, like he plain doesn't get it. Joe, I think in my heart that I'm 75%. He shows up tomorrow. I just think something's got to click for this kid. And beyond what, everybody thinks they're special, and he is special. But there are so many outside forces that make him a special guy. It's this offensive line. It's this quarterback. It's the culture in Buffalo.
Right.
And if he makes this decision and it goes the wrong way, and he ends up in a place where he's miserable, or he doesn't have the pieces around him, then he becomes another cliche like the other running backs that did the same damn thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm about to put Jerry's phone number in the chat right up here, and maybe he's watching. He'll call Jerry, and then we'll get a three-way call. Invite him on the show right now and be like, dude, you got no leverage.
My dad said I was special one time. He said I was special ed. I still remember that scar. I talked about it to my therapist not too long ago. But no, seriously, you're 100% correct. I mean, I last week kind of predicted that he would be. I predicted last week that he would be at training camp or mandatory mini camp. And the reason why, he's got all the appropriate outs, okay? They can put him in front of the podium. The media can say, hey, why weren't you here? And he's got the perfect answer. Well, it wasn't mandatory. Right. I didn't have to be here. Today's mandatory. I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if he's there tomorrow, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
But still, then you look at the Schefter report. And as much as, Adam's very well sourced up. So it would not, he's usually pretty good. He doesn't put things out unless they're pretty appropriate. I know everybody has their snafus, but he's usually pretty on point. So it just, if he's not at mandatory minicamp, that's, well, you know what? I don't want to steal your thunder, Joe, because you're getting ready to go through these numbers and the things that can happen to him if he's not there.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear all the levels of.
Before we do, Fina, I sent you a text, and if you want to just read that real quick and respond yes or no.
Is Cook's phone number in here?
But it is not. But part of what you have to look at is the amount of guys in their second to last year or going into their last year, to include Josh Allen, Terrell Bernard, the amount of Benford, the amount of guys that the Bills have extended that branch to and have re-upped. But what comes into play is it's the amount of money. You look at the other guys, and I don't want to say they took hometown discounts, but they definitely were like, I want to be on this football team. Whereas James Cook is very much like, I want to roll in a Rolls Royce.
Let me say this, okay? Let me say this. And by the way, let me go back to these friendly contracts. If you really look at the production and things of those players, their contracts were pretty appropriate across the league.
Right.
Their value to the Bills might be higher, so therefore it looks like a discounted contract. But if they go into free agency and they start negotiating with other teams, that's probably where they fall. I mean, yes, Shakira is a great player for us. He's a great piece in the wide receiver room. He's a third down guy. It's Josh's go-to. Does that necessarily mean he's going to be Stafford's go-to or Jalen Hurts' go-to? He'll be good for them, but you look at Rousseau and what's going on. So let's not get crazy. I mean, we talk about these contracts. We're getting ready to have to do one here in a little bit with Connor McGovern, and he's already come out and said, look, I took less money to come to Buffalo from the jump. I'm not looking to do this again. I need to be rewarded. So, you have to see the contract and the play and how it all goes together.
I feel like when we see what guys get around the league to leave a team, whether it's Gabe Davis or just some of these guys, I feel like Khalil Shakir could have gotten more money. I feel like Terrell Bernard could have gotten more money. I feel like these guys could get more money in other places. John, real quick, in regard, just in general, you went through one of these situations, I believe, right? Where I don't know all the details. I was younger then and didn't really pay attention to the off season as much as obviously we pay attention to it now. Jerry's point that the NFL has done a good job of making the NFL an all year round business, whereas when 25 years ago, it wasn't as much. What was your situation? Did you hold out? What is that feeling? Was there a conversation with you and the guys on the team? Did they know that it was business? Was there an expectation you would be back? What was your situation?
So what's interesting is, one of the thoughts that crept into my mind was maybe Josh or, an elder statesman on the team would say to Cook, hey man, you're trying to create a market that you're not the guy to create. Or, hey, 12 is probably pretty good. I don't know where they are. Maybe it's 12. I don't think we know exactly where they are. But my situation was, they put an offer in front of me and I said, what do you think? And my agent's like, look, you're a single guy, you live within your means. You could play this out. You risk injury. But I was like, you know what? I mean, how much better are they going to do? He's like, not a lot better than this. And I'm like, well, what will it look like if I just play out my year? It's going to look like this. And I said, I like that. But I went to mini camp. I showed up to training camp. I didn't skip any days. That didn't even creep into my mind for a minute. We didn't create social media drama in those days because you'd have to be standing on the corner in downtown Buffalo and banging a drum. That was social media back then. To me, I just think that he's got this. There's too many things in the negative column for him to be doing what he's doing. So I don't think the Bills are lowballing him at $7 million. I mean, I think the number's got to be far higher than that.
Right.
But to take the risk and then to go to a team that's substandard, that's not going to feature you, that your career is going to be in jeopardy, and you still don't set the market because nobody's paying him 15. I think it's bad all the way around.
I think he gets it. I think it's a bill. I think if he goes someplace else, he potentially gets it. Per Adam Schefter, that's just a thought. I could be completely wrong. Per Adam Schefter, from his podcast, you've got a guy who's unhappy with his contractual situation. He basically has disconnected himself from the organization and the city. Schefter said, put his house up for sale, which we did a show around that. I had a graphic about that. I don't think we'll be seeing him in Buffalo anytime soon. Again, at the start of training camp will be the next critical moment. So Schefter's point there, inference, alluding, whatever word you want to put there, he's not going to be at mandatory minicamp. Will he show up for training camp? Who knows? Does he risk penalties that come along with the collective bargaining agreement? If he doesn't show up, yes, obviously, and this is where he gets into it. According to Spot Track, and this is per Ryan Talbot, unexcused failure to report or unexcused departure from mandatory offseason minicamp results in a maximum fine of $17,000, $17,462 for the first day, $34,925 for the second missed day, $52,381 for the third missed day. That's a lot of coin.
That's about $105,000.
That's a lot of coin. If Cook holds out for training camp, he's subject to a $50,000 fine per day. And more important than that is just the fact that the idea, the notion of who holds the leverage. And I've got other tweets up here, per the Is this Joel Corey on Twitter at Corey Joel. Under the NFL CBA Article 8, Section 1B, a player under contract doesn't get an accrued season, year of service for free agency with a failure to report to training camp on time. Getting 6 games on the 53-man roster, IR or PUP, doesn't matter when this happens, which basically means because of where he is as a restricted free agent next year, not this year, if he does not report to training camp, if he doesn't report, the Bills can contest it even if he shows up later and he doesn't get an accrued season, which is, I don't even know what leg does he have to stand on other than the graphic that we opened with the show, which was basically, as we talked about, where else would he rather be? Like, where is he wanting to be that's not in Buffalo when you're talking about, in order for him to get his bag, he's got to show up at least at training camp, so $150,000 light in the pocket for missing minicamp.
Exactly. So I think the smartest play for him, because he's already trying to use whatever leverage he thinks he has, and it's not working. Show up for minicamp and don't get fined that money, and then restate your case, ask for a trade, do whatever the hell you got to do, but don't risk losing a vested season. You play it out. I mean, for one, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now, do I want to sign a guy who's trying to take a year off? Jerry, make it make sense, please, somehow.
Wait. There's a guy making hay in the comment section, and Scott Blakely just timed him out for what YouTube is saying, 86,000 seconds.
What?
What does that even mean? Matt C was timed out by Scott Blakely for 86K seconds. 86,000. Sorry, that's just bizarre. Why wouldn't they say for an hour or for 2 hours or 86,000 seconds? Sorry, there's just a guy. There's a fan of another team in the comment section making some noise, which we appreciate it if they're polite. But Jerry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't have an answer. I mean, we've been talking about it now for freaking 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. You can't make sense of it. You can't. And, I go back to what Joe said. I think he's going to get 15 elsewhere. He might. If he does, it's going to be a team that believes that they're that close to a Super Bowl title and they need one piece to do it. But I still think about $12 million, 12.5 is the ceiling. But like I said earlier, I mean, part of this negotiation thing is give and take. And this right now is not good.
It's interesting because when you look at just who he is as a player, there's a lot of conversation this week as well with this report coming out from Adam Schefter. We know the player that James Cook is. All three of us love James Cook. Like, we want this guy on our football team, but we've also had good conversations around film study and, in our post-game shows, in the Off Tackle with John Fina show, and in the Big O show, just about who he is as a third down running back and a blocker. And the conversation on Twitter this week was like, you look at the impact he had in that last Chiefs game, and make no mistake, he wasn't Thurman Thomas in the first Super Bowl against the Giants, where he rushed for 135 yards on 15 carries and should have got the ball 30 times. He had a good game against the Chiefs. And what came up was that he wasn't on the field in the last drive at all. And the reason is because he's not the greatest pass blocker as a running back. And you just look at all of that stuff. And Jerry, I know you want to talk about this, but is he limited as a player right now? And is a limited player worth $12 million a year?
I don't. First of all, if James Cook isn't on the roster, we have a hole in zone running back, a guy that can run the ball out and run the zone schemes well out of the backfield,
which he's great at,
which he's excellent at. He's developed as a wonderful zone running back. And that's something that we have to look at. If he was not on this roster, while I like Davis, I like Davis and Johnson. I think they're great backs. They're not zone backs. So there's a hole. You'd have to go out and find a veteran or find somebody to fill that zone back position. Second thing is, and I know that, Cook is not a good pass blocker, but if you look at him not playing on third down and Johnson playing on third down, that decision is more based upon the passing game and route running and catching the ball out of the backfield than it is pass blocking, because we don't really ask our backs to pass block very much.
We don't.
In pass protection. Very little. And if you look at the way our running back usage is, That third down, that's why Johnson's in the game. You remember that huge catch he had in the back of the end zone, right? On that scramble play from Allen, because he is really reliable catching the ball as a receiver out of the backfield. I think they drafted James Cook to be that back. He's had spurts, but he's also had a lot of big drops.
Yes.
And fortunately for the Bills, he's turned into this great zone runner. I think that he flipped the switch, and what they really drafted him for, he's not doing as well as what they didn't necessarily think he would do well, which is run the zone. So to me anyway, that's where the biggest hole would be, as far as if he wasn't on this team, it's zone style running back as opposed to pass catcher, because Ty Johnson's going to be that guy. He is. And Davis is a great changeup. He's a slasher. He's a foot in the ground downhill dude. Does a great job, and he's a great changeup to Cook. But I think, before we go ahead and we persecute him for his pass blocking, that's why he's not playing on third down. Really, it's more of the pass catching stuff than it is. I mean, because look at Ray Davis. What did he do so well in Kentucky? Caught the ball out of the backfield.
Right.
Okay. They see a big value in that. And that probably to me is more of the hesitation to not give the money he wants than the pass protection side of it. Does that make sense?
If you're paying a guy, sorry, John, if you're paying a guy, if you're going to pay a guy $12 million, a running back 10, 12, good God, $15 million. Well, if it's 15, his name better be Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. But if you're going to pay him 12 and a half, he should be on the field. He's a guy that's on the field in the last drive in the AFC Championship game, or whatever that game was, against the Kansas City Chiefs, right?
He is, but if he's doing it, it's because he's out running routes.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying he should be on the field. It should be a requirement.
For $15 million, you should be the guy.
For $12 million, he should be on the field. There shouldn't be. The fan base should be losing their minds if he's not on the field. And there wasn't a whisper.
If James Cook is smart, he's going to look at it this way: absent a trade, which I don't think is going to happen at this point, but I'm open to it, right? To settle this whole thing, to get a trade. I know, Jerry, it'll put a hole, in the roster, but better a hole than a distraction. But absent a trade, the smartest thing for James Cook to do is to go out, support this team, make a run for a Super Bowl, be a free agent, and then pull down that 15 or 17 million. Just have an ass-kicking year.
Right.
And create your own leverage. Go create your leverage.
That's a great point. That's a wonderful point. You got to create your own leverage. It's not the Bills' job to create the leverage for you.
I think it's funny because there's been a lot of comments from content creators, reporters, and just different people that have kind of affirmed the whole he's probably not going to be here for minicamp. That report's probably accurate. We'll find out on Monday at 1:00 or in the morning or whenever we find out. But make no mistake that James Cook will be on the roster week 1 of 2025. I'm not so sure. I think there's a chance he does get traded. I think there's an opportunity for the Bills, coming off the Stephon Diggs stuff, this team being where they want it, disconnecting from the Bills and the city. Like there's
what do you trade him for?
That's a great question. I think the cap savings is probably the biggest reason. The cap savings and the headache are probably the two biggest reasons. The question you have to ask yourself is Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and Frank Gore Jr. enough to get it done? Or can you find another guy? Or is there a guy that comes back in a trade?
So that's the question, Jerry. Were you asking Joe, are you trading for a running back? Are you trying to replace the guy you're letting go? Because
I'm saying is
there's no value.
You're not going to trade good running back for good running back. I mean, a team's not going to have a guy that can run the ball like Cook, and then you trade him for Cook. I mean, what sense does that make? So what I'm asking is, what do you want in return?
It seems like
draft picks. Is it a position?
It sounds like it would be draft picks or a position of need. I don't know that you're getting a running back in return.
But what's your position of need? That's what I'm asking. I have one. That's it.
Linebacker depth, right? So
linebacker depth. But let me finish this. So is a team, are you going to trade your star running back for linebacker depth, not starter depth? Okay. And is a team going to go ahead and remove players to bring Cook in, knowing if they don't pay him $15 million, he's not going to be there next year?
the question is somebody going to trade for him and give him a new contract, right? Like, would there be a negotiation? I think what's getting lost in this as well is this whole, how do I want to say it? Not welcomed, not overly welcomed, as it's been kind of portrayed already. Entrance into the locker room of Hard Knocks. Do the Buffalo Bills want to go through the first 4 weeks or whatever, however long of training camp with this James Cook thing hanging over this is not a team and a locker room that likes outside noise or likes inside noise. They like things to be pretty right. This is McDermott's team. This is Josh's team, and everybody falls in line and blah, 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 and yada, yada, down the road.
I think of it as a cathartic release, Joe.
Yeah, but I think
of it as a release.
There's been a bit of a change in that. This franchise this offseason has opened up a little bit, and then we'll get Hard Knocks, so we'll get it even more. But no, I'm just saying, it's like I keep going back to the trade thing and all that. If you can give me a scenario where it makes sense, okay. The only thing that makes sense is James Cook's on the roster this season.
I agree.
And he plays well. And then he does one of two things. He plays so well that Brandon Beane has to pay him.
Or franchise him.
Or, well, you're not going to – if you're in a team that's cap-strapped, you're not going to franchise a running back because you might as well give him $15 million a year.
Yeah,
the money is immense.
I don't disagree, but it comes down to what is James Cook. If he has a good year this year, if he matches or does better than last year, how much is the asking price now? 22 million?
Just look at history, guys. Look at history of what Beane has done. He's not going to get his hand forced, especially at that position.
No,
he's never signed a running back to a second contract.
Nope.
And I think that if James Cook thinks that what he's doing is going to force Beane to do that, he's crazy.
So I
show up, play, don't be a distraction. Put your work on film. Somebody else will pay you. Have a nice day. Get another running back.
But I think that's the lead into the conversation about the trade. The fact that Brandon Beane has never given it, and he hasn't really had a reason to give a guy a second contract. But if you can get it out of the way and get something in return, now I guess the question is what do you believe in? How much do you believe in Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and Frank Gore Jr.?
Well, no, my thing is I'm hell with those guys. I don't care about. I'm going to go back to this trade thing you keep going to.
Okay.
Tell me what the value is.
That's right.
Tell me what his value is.
I have no idea. I guess it depends on what somebody's willing to
Joe,
give you.
I think what we're doing right now is we're regressing to like the mean to get rid of him so we avoid a distraction. I think it's the other way.
No. There's
Hold on,
more.
let me finish.
There's more than just the distraction. But go ahead.
Well, let me finish. I think that the smartest play is to force him onto the field. And you just basically look him in the eye and say, look, we couldn't come to terms. You're a sweet guy. We're sweet people.
Right.
We just don't get along.
Right.
But I'll tell you this, kid, go out there and screw it up this year and then seek $15 million. Get your ass on the field, run your ass off, catch your ass off, block your ass off, make your own damn market. Because I ain't Buttermaker. I ain't going to crumble in the face of this thing. Let's go. Let's play football. Let's be men. You make your money next year. There's no trade value.
This is the way I look at it. If he shows up, he shows up. If he doesn't, he doesn't. The only person that's being hurt is himself.
Correct.
Right.
Get fined, keep all the money you can, and then if he doesn't show up to training camp, he loses his free agency year and tie him up again.
Right.
Do whatever you want to do. But if your daughter's 5-6 years old and she's in the grocery store line and she keeps throwing Skittles into the stinking grocery basket and you keep putting them back, after the sixth time of that happening, are you going to go, oh yeah, here's your Skittles. I just don't want you to make a scene in front of all these people. No, you're going to take her to the car and do what my grandmother used to say. You're going to put Pasha Bazool on toast, right? That's what you're going to do. So or you're just going to let the kid throw a fit until they take a nap.
Right. So where I was going with that, it's more than just the distraction, and it was a lead off of what Jerry said, and I think one of the two of you said and kind of led into it, which is Jerry said it, John agreed. If he hasn't given a running back a second contract, and he already knows, Brandon Beane knows, like I'm probably not giving this guy a second contract either. Do you trust the three you have, the two you have, to get out now and get something in return versus getting a good year out of him? You're still not playing him in the final drive when you're down by less than one score in the last game of the season. do you get out now?
But here's what you're missing.
I'm just asking questions.
Right, I know, but okay, so I'm going to answer it for you.
Here's
no,
what
you
would
keep
be
him.
missing.
You know why? Because if he stays in Buffalo and leaves next year, what do you get?
Or you get a compensatory pick. But
Yeah, you probably get a second-round compensatory, right?
No, it wouldn't be a second.
Third?
It wouldn't
You'd
be
get a
that
pretty high one. So you're going to get something for him whether he stays or not. So I'd rather him stay and run the zone well, let him leave and get a high compensatory pick, and go get some backup to the linebackers we have when we got Dorian Williams. And who's to say that Dorian Williams doesn't beat out Milano in camp? Ooh, I said it. And that's a possibility.
Well, who would be the second linebacker then?
Milano.
Oh, Dorian. Oh, Milano. Sorry, I was thinking.
Yeah, Milano.
So Chris Yonke is in the comments section. If there's somebody around that would know it, as far as like James Cook being a second-round draft pick, if he's gone after his 4th season, if the Bills don't re-sign him because they can't, if they offer him a contract and then he gets scooped up by somebody else and they refuse, what is the compensatory pick back? If there's somebody in the comment section that would know, it would probably be Chris. I think he's
third. Chris said third. Thank you, Chris.
Third round. Yes, I was
a third round. So I'd rather I'll take a third round. I'll take a third round pick in compensatory. Keep him there.
But what if the Bills get a second or a first for him?
They're not going to get a first.
A late
and they're probably not going to get a second.
What?
So if you're telling me that James Cook's worth a first or a second, you might as well pay him the $15 million and keep him on the roster.
I'm saying crazy things happen, and I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying I don't believe what I'm saying. I'm just asking the question.
Well, you are red, so that's probably a good thing. You're playing the devil.
I don't want anybody to think automatically that hey, Joe, John, and Jerry and every other content creator said that James Cook would be here week 1.
Well,
and then
John and Jerry didn't say anything.
No, you're making a pretty good argument. You're making a pretty good argument that he's going to be on the roster week 1. I'm just saying there is a slight chance that he might not be.
That's why I think a trade is unlikely at this point, right? There's too much upside to keep him, whether it's a compensatory pick, whether you just obligate him to play his best season so he can get his money and go somewhere else. I mean, if he's the type of person, if this is really that adversarial, if there's that much bad blood, then the best thing for everybody is to hoist the Lombardi and wave goodbye and then go to rinse and repeat with another running back. But you're not going to stare Brandon Beane in the eye and get him to blink. And, okay, here's your 14.65 when we are offered you 12.3 already. It ain't happening. I want to be traded. Really? Well, then, okay, what do you got? What are you bringing us? Well, why don't you go out and find me a deal? No, we want you to run the ball into the Super Bowl. So
right.
And also, let's look at the fine print here. Okay, we won't. Everybody thinks everybody eats is about whatever. We won't pay a wide receiver to be wide receiver 1. We're going to go ahead and pay a running back to be the top. I mean, that's not how this is working right now.
That's a great point.
That's not how this is working. You're either going to take a little less than market, which, to be honest with you, James Cook could get exactly what he's worth, around $12 million probably. Or you're going to move on. But I just, oh gosh, this thing gets my blood pressure up. Man.
Incentivize it. Do whatever you can. James, if you're listening, we have you on the show next week. Take the 12-2-5, come play football, win a Super Bowl, and see if you're worth 14.5.
I don't necessarily agree with that comment. That goes back to the we don't pay running back thing. This James Cook scenario is not a we don't pay running backs anymore in the NFL. This James Cook scenario is we don't want to pay that running back what he wants. I think they would pay him very well if he took what they wanted to give him, not what he wants. So I don't, especially, and that's the other thing too, and that's the other thing that makes me nervous about this and why I want James Cook on this roster. As much as Josh Allen gets all the love and we talk about his throwing arm and everything else, this football team runs the football. They want to run the ball. They want to control the line of scrimmage. They want to run the ball. So it'd be nice to have your best running back on the field and happy and all that stuff. But I say this, you're not going to mortgage the future because I don't care who runs the rock. If you can't sign Osiris Torrance or you can't sign Connor McGovern, and then you lose David Edwards and you got to replace 3 inside, it's going to be a lot harder to run the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to make sure you take care of the dogs up front first.
You're going to need Christian Okoye if you step back from those inside 3.
Right.
I think what it comes back to, though, when you're talking about the Bills want to run the football, and they do, right? And the NFL has changed a little bit. And there was something that I watched just a couple weeks ago where it was the resurgence of the NFL running back. The running backs are coming, like that position is coming back as far as being dominant. You look at Derrick Henry, $15 million a year, and Derrick Henry is good regardless of Lamar Jackson or not. Saquon Barkley is making $20 million a year. Saquon Barkley is good regardless of Jalen Hurts. James Cook, I'm not so sure that if you put him on pick worst team in the league, Jacksonville, I don't know, just pick a team out there that's just not great. That if you put James Cook on the Indianapolis Colts, he's not getting Jonathan Taylor's production. That to me is the spell. That to me is the math right there. Like James Cook is a benefactor of what Josh Allen, the fear that Josh Allen puts into defenses. Does that make sense? I feel like the attention is Josh Allen.
I'll let John rebut first, and I also have a comment on that.
All I heard was just a slight and utter disparagement of offensive line play, because he just mentioned playing with quarterbacks. Oh, you're playing with Lamar. You're playing with this quarterback. Hey, he's running behind 5 big sons of bitches that are plowing down front sevens for him. Joe, if I had a feeling, it would be crushed.
You know, I'm with you, John. I mean, he's offended us about 15 times in the show already. But that's okay. He doesn't know what he does.
I have a tissue.
He knows not what he does. He's just a child.
Yo, Joe, I take your point and I agree with it. But I'm still hurt.
But we talk about Josh being the reason that James Cook runs the ball. How many freaking compressed looks do we run? So many compressed formations. All the guys are in the box. So compressed formation is you got the extra offensive linemen. We bring the wide receivers in. We've got Dalton Kincaid. So we bring everybody into the box. It's not like we're running 4 wideouts all the time, and Cook is running against a 5-man box or a light box all the time. That's why, because Josh is putting. No, I mean,
but isn't that? Thank you for explaining what a compressed formation is, because that's big for our fans, right? But isn't the compressed formation a threat that Josh is going to run the ball? I'm just asking. No, okay,
no.
It feels like when they bring in that extra tight end, it's literally to pull everybody in out of fear that Josh is going to do something, and then Josh usually throws the football out.
Well, they pull everybody in because you've got to cover guys and you got to be gap sound.
Right.
So when they compress it, you've got more gaps there at the line of scrimmage. So you got to bring, we make this game way too confusing. It's not that confusing.
Right.
It's simple math. It's blocking, it's tackling, it's ball handling. It's 3 things. But no, I mean, seriously, and as we're getting to the end of the show here, and we probably could go another hour. I know that would pain John because he's got so many things to do. But unlike the rest of us, but I treat this like a screaming toddler. I really do. And, let the kid scream. He'll eventually get tired and go to sleep. If he wants to be there, he's there. If he's not there, we roll with who's there.
Yeah.
If it gets way into camp, we might have to figure out how to bring somebody else in to bolster that room. The guy that can run the zone scheme stuff out of the backfield well. I'm not saying Davis can't, but Cook's very good at it. And go about our business. And if he wants to be a part of it, he's a part of it, because here's the deal. He has to be here or he's fined.
Mm-hmm.
There's no negative to the Buffalo Bills 100 whatsoever. There is no negative.
I guess what Jerry's saying a little bit is, as offensive linemen, we never posture like this. Like, this is all bluster and big chest. Look at me. Look what I can do. But he can't do anything. There's no leverage. The offensive lineman be like, shit, man, I'm just putting on my boots and my gloves. I'll see you at work. We'll knock this shit out. And next year I'll just wave by and we'll stay connected on Instagram.
Yep.
Now, if James Cook could play right wing, center, or left wing, or play defense for the Sabres, then I'd say give him $15 million and let him do both. But
Now we're having a conversation. Now we're having a conversation. You hurt some other people's feelings with that, but no, good conversation. And again, as much as I'm just trying to throw, again, devil's advocate type of stuff at you guys, just to kind of get a feel. Otherwise, it just turns in. Otherwise, it's a 10-minute show, and that's no fun for anybody.
Yeah, and then Jerry, you just get Jerry all worked up when you do that. He gets so freaking panicked, and I could see him breathing, and he's all flexed up.
I didn't get panicked. Now my
He's
blood pressure
angry
went
at
up a
you,
little
Joe.
My blood pressure. I was never angry at Joe.
Every time we're off the show, Jerry's texting me, Joe, that son of a bitch is.
Well, he did offend us about 15 times today.
He did crush us.
He's like, I say we just get whoever to stand up front. Because it doesn't matter.
That is not what I said. But if we're
as long as Josh Allen's on the field,
if we're being honest, the offensive line gets overlooked. Yes, quite often.
Joe, we're just taking the open shot at you, buddy.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. But yes,
just put the Kevlar on and take the bruise.
We play with only a center, and we take the other 4 linemen and bring out wide receivers.
I like it.
And we just
isn't that Canadian football?
We don't need an O-line with Josh Allen. Who needs an offensive line?
With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by the Believe Sports Network. So good to have every single one of you joining us for this episode of the show. The Big O Show coming to you live on Wednesday night, and good to have you guys join us for a spirited conversation. Bills minicamp again starts tomorrow, Monday, or today if you're listening to this as a podcast, and we will see what happens with James Cook. But for me, for John, for Jerry, for all of us here at Overreaction, we love you guys. Go Bills.
Go Bills, brothers.
Much love. Go Bills.
Go Bills.